Okay. Welcome everybody to the Design Review Board meeting of Thursday, May 19th, 2022. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Then we have the consideration of the minutes from April 21st, Design Review Board meeting. Are there any amendments to the minutes?
Excuse me. I'll move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Don't be shy.
Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of DRB 21-17, Jeffrey Shett application to alter the site plan for 1355 South Hemlock. The property is owned by David and Janet Boneta. Okay. And is located at 1355 South Hemlock in a limited commercial C1 zone. The application will be reviewed against the criteria of Municipal Code Chapter 17.44.080 through 1744-100, the design review criteria. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the Design Review Board to hear the matter at this time? Does any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or a personal bias? Has any commission member had any ex parte contact or made a site visit?
Site visit.
Site visit.
Drive by.
Drive by, okay. We have a staff report.
We do. This is a request for revision to DRB 2107, which was approved on July 15th of 2021 regarding the outdoor dining area at Gatsby's Speakeasy and Steakhouse on South Hemlock. The approved site plan called for an outdoor dining area that was to be delineated by a 3-foot tall gabion wall with pilasters that would run along the western and northern boundaries of the patio area. To date, this has not been erected, and Mr. Shett has reached out to community development requesting a revision to this to replace the original approval with a different outdoor dining that would use 12-inch square weighted cedar pilasters with plant boxes and low voltage light fixtures at the top, cedar frames with wire fencing measuring 4 feet by 6 foot wide would be mounted to the pilasters, and signage for the restaurant would be affixed to the northwestern corner of the fence. The approval criteria are section 1744-080, which is the site design evaluation, and also section 1744-150, which is exterior lighting standards, as the proposal would involve light fixtures, which are described as being downcast low voltage fixtures on top of the pilasters.
Okay. Is there a recommendation?
The recommendation is approval with conditions. And the condition that we would have is that details regarding outdoor lighting fixtures would be provided by the applicant. Any fixtures to be used would be downcast and not to exceed 5 lumens per square foot for outdoor dining areas as detailed in table C of line 5 of chapter 1754-150, which is the table that was included in the staff report.
Is there any additional correspondence?
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead to the public hearing. The pertinent criteria to be considered are noted in the staff reports and listed on the criteria sheets posted on the meeting page of the city's website. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the criterion or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or municipal code, which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal based on that issue. And prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional testimony, arguments, or evidence regarding the application. The Design Review Board shall grant such requests by continuing the public hearing or leaving the record open for additional written testimony, arguments, or evidence. Persons who testify shall first receive recognition from the chair, state their full name, mailing address, and if appearing in a representative capacity, identify whom they represent. Is there a presentation by the applicant?
Yes. My name is David Von Ada, and I am the property owner. And I lease the facility to Jeff Shute, who is the actual applicant. So hopefully that will suffice. I did bring some supplementary information that I'd like to share, if that's okay. I brought multiple copies, one for everybody. And mine. Actually, let me have one. I think all of you may have recalled less than a year ago when we did actually review the site plan and approve the outdoor dining in the two of the existing parking spaces on the site. So this represents a change in the design of the enclosure of the outdoor dining. And I can tell you in part, it's just due to a change of available materials. As the owner, I tasked Jeff to actually construct the screening that had been previously approved. He actually struggled with availability of those materials. And so he approached me with this alternative design, which we then brought to staff, and hence we're here tonight. One of the things I've been able to do, just to kind of give you some background, is I've been able to source some actual rough sawn cedar boards that we've been using on the building. This is actually stained cedar to match the weathered cedar that's on the building now. And I've been pretty happy to have located this material. It's actually coming from a local sawmill in Warrenton. And so I've been able to use this material to restore the siding, the board and batten pattern on the building, which is very fortunate. However, I do have some extra material that we then plan on using for the pilasters that are shown on the drawing. So Jeff intends to buy the screen panels that we're showing. In fact, what I did in the supplemental information was show you a cut sheet of the actual wire screen panels. These are 4 feet by 6 feet. And those will be located between 12-inch square pilasters made up of stained cedar boards to match the existing building. So we'll stain those to match. They'll be just over 4 feet high. I mean, 4'2", 4'3". So the wire panels actually butt to those, and then the planter, probably a potted plant with annuals be located on the top of the 12-inch by 12-inch square pilaster. So I think it'll be quite attractive and just as attractive as the original design that he intended to use. So also in this supplemental information, I just kind of enhanced the original plan that Jeff submitted. I sketched in some tables to kind of give you an idea of the scale of the enclosure. He already had addressed the relocation of his sign. If you did drive by or visit the site, currently his sign faces Hemlock and it's almost behind a telephone pole. It's not as readable, not as evident to users as we'd like. So as part of this, he's simply relocating the existing sign around the corner in a 45-degree configuration. So as you would approach the driveway, I think the sign would be much more apparent. So that is kind of the enhanced plan. This is the enhanced elevation. Again, as an architect, I just kind of add a little bit more information on there. The last thing was Jeff wanted me to propose to the DRB tonight is that he would like to actually include a couple trellis structures over the outdoor seating area. Now that goes back to the embellished plan that I put together here. And I actually dotted in for you 2 10-by-10 trellis structures that he actually was hoping to get approved as well. Now that wasn't part of the original submittal, I do grant you. However, this last page, I included an elevation of what those would look like. They are a manufactured trellis structure. They're actually intended to be almost tent-like. However, the intention is to provide the trellis structure with shade cloth over the top that comes with them, but not the full curtains that create tents. That's not the idea, to make an enclosed outdoor dining room by any means. But the only photograph I had was including these curtains. So the intent again would be just provide a trellis structure with a canvas roof. There'd be 2 of them in a curved roof structure. Again, 10-by-10 by 8 feet high. And I know from talking to staff, certainly with COVID and the popularity of outdoor dining, a lot of this type of thing has been allowed in kind of a temporary use basis. I think Jeff has in mind making them more permanent if allowed by DRB. But again, if it's only to be temporary seasonal kind of thing, that would be okay too. But I did want to include those in my presentation and make you aware of this intent there. So if there's any questions, that kind of describes what the new design is, I think.
And what's the material of the trellis? It's
It's a powder coated steel, and it's a light brown in color. So it's intended to be a wood brown value. I got to tell you from as an architect, powder coated steel only lasts so long in our environment, even with it powder coated. So, to ask for it to be permanent is a relative term in our climate.
Did you talk about the possibility of making them out of cedar material?
Yeah. I have the feeling they'll end up that way, frankly, because, it's kind of a long story, but Jeff is from Southern California, so he's not really savvy to our climate conditions. And it's something he purchased, frankly, and something I wouldn't recommend that he even purchase. But nevertheless, he's hoping to use them. And I can see them being replaced with cedar probably in 3 to 4 years. So yes.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Sidewalk barrier, as I recall, was Gabion. Was that?
Yeah, that was the original design, was the
stone.
Yeah, but
Rubble.
yeah, correct. But technically, it was a little bit more challenging for Jeff to source that material. And part of the challenge was getting the Gabion materials, evidently.
Huh.
So we turned to this alternative.
And the pilasters are going to just be 4x4 boxes.
Yeah, there'll be 1 foot square boxes, 4 feet high. Yeah, so that's this.
Out of that material.
This width, a height of 4 feet.
Any other questions?
I'm kind of not sold on the galvanized wire fencing. You think powder coated isn't gonna hold up? I don't think your galvanized fencing is gonna hold up
It's, you know,
even.
our climate is hard on materials. You know, there's no, short of stainless steel, there's no really good material. So yeah, I get it.
Is there some other material that you might come up with?
The only other thing that would hold up better than galvanized would be stainless steel. And to my knowledge, they are not available in stainless steel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, even a different concept, not the
Oh,
wire fencing.
not the wire fencing?
You could, excuse me. You could just do a cedar fence in between the pile.
Oh, sure. Yeah. A cedar fence panel.
I mean, it seems like you've got, a lot of people walking along the sidewalk and people dining in here. They want to have a little more privacy than just the hog wire,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that could be done. It would be relatively easy. In fact, the Applicant just built a kind of a good neighbor fence on our common property line on the east. We could emulate that type of thing.
Yeah. This just seems a little too close to chain link fence to me,
Yeah,
which I've never been a fan of.
yeah. No, we could do staggered boards too, vertical, like 1x6.
Any thoughts, Michelle?
Well, I was curious about the covering. Can we ask that to be temporary? Because I feel like it's gonna look pretty shoddy pretty quickly.
It's really up to the
Okay,
design review board.
I don't know, I'm asking.
You know,
That's, I'm hoping to say that.
Jeff's hoping to make it more permanent, but
Yeah, I
it's only
mean,
gonna last so long.
yeah, I feel like what he was saying with the cedar, like making it like
Yeah.
cedar cover.
Well, again, I predicted it'll be replaced in cedar within 3 to 4 years too. So I don't think anybody wants it to degrade to the point where it looks shabby.
Yeah,
And certainly not a business owner, where you're dealing with the public and you're out there representing your product. And if you got some rusty structure out in the front of the public, that's not good business. So, I think it's just common sense that it will end up being replaced.
I'm just wondering how long that canvas will last too with the winds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are all factors.
Yeah.
And unless you're from here, you don't always quite get that. So, yeah.
Well, it does have a Pelican for a windbreak, but
It does. That's true.
also needs to be bolted down somehow.
Oh, yeah, we would secure it,
Yeah.
certainly. I'll deal with building department on that as necessary.
So,
Any other questions?
how many tables are they trying to have outside?
I didn't try to draw an exact
Okay.
layout. He notes 16 to 24 seats, somewhere in there.
I'm all for outdoor dining.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for Jeff and for his restaurant. I think he's going to continue to do really well. He's gotten really good reviews so far. Hopefully this will enhance his operations even more.
When did it open?
Well, let's see. We were here just short of a year ago. I think July was the design review
Yep.
last year. So, yeah, I think he was right at the
After.
end of August, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think it was right as the season was kind of.
Yeah, right at the end of the peak season.
I'm not seeing anybody else here to present anything, proponents or opponents, or is there more staff comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might mention that if someone does want to comment, that's an attendee, we're now in the new webinar mode of Zoom.
Okay.
Just to mention that they can raise their hand if they would need to speak.
Okay. If we have anybody online who would like to raise their hand to speak, now would be the time to do that. Not seeing anybody. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and then we can move to consideration. So will we be approving the site plan and the architectural design and the landscape design, all three, looks like? All right. Is there a motion to approve the site plan?
Well, I'd make a motion to approve the site plan with conditions
Okay,
that the wire, I call it hog wire, but the galvanized steel be replaced with cedar, vertical cedar boards.
I second that.
And I don't know if the art structure, I'm struggling with that. He's already bought them and, you know, they're not going to last that long. So I'm fine with, I'm fine letting those continue. But the fence itself, I guess my motion is that the fence enclosure should be entirely done with cedar rather than wire. And you second that?
Yes, I second that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
and do you want to include anything about the trellis being temporary or just let it run its natural course?
I think the latter.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Anybody have any questions about the motion?
Well, if we say the latter, then he can just keep, I mean, not that I'm saying he's gonna keep up a hunk of crap. But if we say like, oh, you can only have it up for a year or two.
But I would hope his landlord would have some
Okay.
control over
Just making
that.
sure.
I hope so too.
And I would also say it has to be in good order
Yeah.
or it comes under code
Code issue.
issues.
Just making sure.
All right. Well, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
It'll be there until the first windstorm anyway.
Do we have a,
They'll end up in your building.
True.
do we have a motion to approve the architectural design? Do we need to do that now that we've already indicated we want the fence to be different?
I think that was actually mostly architectural.
I know, I think so too.
I think that covers it.
All right. Anything more on landscaping with regard to the planters?
Was there in the original proposal any landscaping around the perimeter? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Just on top, I think, on top of the pilasters. The pilasters or pilasters?
I've always pronounced it pilasters, but
Pilasters.
Too.
that was a masonry contractor.
I was gonna say in the south, it's pilaster.
Yeah.
Pilasters.
Pile it up. But what I'm looking at is outside the fence on the Hemlock side, there's a kind of a fuzzy outline. Is that landscaping?
Yes, it is. And that was included in the original approved design review landscape plan.
So you're still
So
doing?
that's maintained in this.
Yes, it's been maintained. There will be a certain amount, you know, that's where the sign is too right now. So when the sign gets removed, we'll be installing a few more plants, but yes.
Okay.
So the landscaping, Dave, would only be the tops of the pilasters.
Exactly. And I'm envisioning those just being, potted plants, seasonal color, that type of thing.
Do you have a motion to approve the landscape design? Which is the addition of the plants on top of the pilasters.
Motion to approve, I guess. Is that what I say? Yeah.
Second.
Second, all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anything else we need to do on that one? We got it all? Are we satisfied that we covered? Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Make it happen.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a public hearing. Weitzel? Application on behalf of Wayside Inn to relocate the dumpster corral at the Wayside Inn from the north side of the parking lot to the southeast corner. The property is owned by Westover Inns Incorporated and is located at 3339 South Hemlock Street, tax lot 01003, map 51032, Cannon Beach, in a residential motel RM zone. The application will be reviewed against the criteria of Municipal Code, Chapter 174480 through 1744-100, design review criteria. Does anyone object to the design review board, the jurisdiction of the design review board to hear this matter at this time? Does any commission member believe he or she has a conflict of interest or a personal bias? Has any commission member had any ex parte contact or made a site visit?
Site visit.
Site visit. Okay, could we please hear the staff report?
So yes, the Wayside Inn is seeking to relocate the dumpster storage area from its current location at the north end of the parking lot to the southeastern corner of the property. The purpose of the relocation is to alleviate difficulties for refuse collection vehicles accessing dumpsters at their current location. The approval criteria is section 1744 080 site design evaluation. And this primarily fits criteria H, which is regarding parking and circulation. At present, garbage collection trucks are required to maneuver through the lot in order to avoid the overhanging roof at the hotel's entrance in order to access the dumpsters. The refuse collection area, as described in the proposal, would be screened from view by cyclone fencing with privacy slats and landscaping improvements. The proposed location is in a much more visually prominent area, serving as a visual gateway to the Tolovana area. The applicant did not describe any of the landscaping improvements which would be made in conjunction with the proposal. And yet screening or buffering vegetation around the exterior perimeter of the cyclone fencing to the south and east, such as a 6-foot hedge, could provide a more pleasant entry to Cannon Beach from Highway 101. This would meet criteria upon satisfaction of condition 1, which is that the applicant submit a landscaping plan using exterior hedging or other vegetative screening to reduce the prominence of the corral, which would be visible from Warren Way intersection with Highway 101.
Thank you. Is there any additional correspondence? Okay. We're going to go ahead and go into the public hearing then for the public testimony. I'll remind everyone, the pertinent criteria to be considered are noted in the staff report and listed on the criteria sheets posted on the meeting page of the city's website. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward that criterion or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or municipal code, which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal based on that issue. Prior to the conclusion of the initial evidentiary hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional testimony, arguments, or evidence regarding the application. The design review board shall grant such requests by continuing the public hearing or leaving the record open for additional written testimony, arguments, or evidence. Persons who testify shall first receive recognition from the chair, state their full name and mailing address, and if appearing in a representative capacity, identify whom they represent. Mr. Weitzel, would you like to present as the applicant?
No, I'm just
Here to answer.
here to answer any question that might come up.
Okay. Hi, Jen. Oh, you have mine.
I know I'm pretty vague on the description of the screening of the area as far as vegetation and trees and things. Didn't really list any particular ones, but right now we have issues with our current ones that need to be removed and replaced, but whether something got to them. But anyway, we're just trying to see how close we can get to getting some bids on replacing the whole parking lot because it's in bad shape. And in the process, we'd like to relocate the dumpster.
Okay. Maybe we can ask if there's any other testimony, and then we can get into questions from the board. Do we have any proponents or opponents or anybody online that would like to provide some testimony? Now would be the time to raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, seeing none, I guess I will close the public hearing then and let us have our discussion. Do we have questions of the applicant or comments, thoughts?
Are you using the same material? Was that proposal the same, like fence and privacy slats?
It would be like the vinyl slats that is usually used in the webbing of the cyclone fencing. That was our first idea, but we're open to pertinent with just about anything, materials that would match the building itself, anything like that.
I think it's one of, the main entrances to Cannon Beach. When you think about it, people come to the Tolovana Wayside Park all the time. And I personally, I would like to see something maybe of wood or with the landscaping that was discussed. I don't know, do other people have thoughts? The cyclone fence
No,
is less appealing.
Yeah, I see that, I drive by it several times a day since I live up there with Dave
We buy it all the time.
in the Heights.
Be something that my dog can pee on.
Yeah, several times a day.
Probably have a lot of that.
Yeah, I think something made out of cedar would be much preferable, but I also want to suggest that the location, rather than being right there on the corner of the thing, maybe if it could be moved in a couple of 3 spaces towards to the north.
Where this blue truck is,
Yeah, maybe
between these two, or
so that you wouldn't, the garbage truck could come in and not have to go under the portico, but it wouldn't be as visible, right there.
Right on the corner.
On the corner. And
The only issue I see with that is when he grabs the dumpster to lift it and tip it into the truck, that awning could interfere.
no, I think if it was still outside, if it was this side of the awning,
Yeah.
let's see the aerial, Can you blow up the aerial?
this one?
Yeah,
So you're saying about where that white vehicle is?
yeah, where the white vehicle is. And that way it would not, it wouldn't be right smack dab on the corner.
Yeah.
And then you could just landscape the heck out of the planting strip there. We'd like to see I'd prefer to see, some serious landscaping along that, perhaps some more sizable shore pines or something. Because if you're just going to plant some 5-gallon arborvitae, it's going to be years before it really screens.
Some kind of an evergreen hedge type.
Yeah,
skirting.
yeah, maybe 2 or 3. You've got a shore pine right there on the
Yeah.
north of the white car, and you could add 2 or 3 or at least 2 shore pines there.
How many?
It'd be great to be able to see a plan, if you could come back with, that's my suggestion, that a plan that shows a cedar enclosure, kind of like the Chamber of Commerce downtown. That's okay. And they've got big opening doors.
Yeah.
Everything's cedar. And I think they've got wheels on them. They roll out. But I think we need to see a real plan.
Do you think it would take 2 spaces or 3 spaces? How?
The way we've got it figured out, we would lose 1 space there. But removing where the existing one is, we would gain like 2, possibly 3.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm wondering from that aerial, it would be like the white truck and the one south potentially, sort of up to where the grass ends. In my mind, you wouldn't go to the north of the white truck, right?
No,
And also the parking lot elevation is lower than that ramp coming off the highway. So that area is a little bit recessed down in there,
Okay.
which kind of helps conceal in a way, but.
Mhm.
And then again, with walls to partition it off and some shrubbery and.
I have a question. I mean, just Mike, what you were saying to move it in a couple parking stalls. I mean, is there any issue with like actually having guests park their vehicles there and then the risk of coming in and dumping like for just like something falling out of the trash and hitting
Yeah.
a car or something like,
I would hope not. I know that what.
I wouldn't park next to it.
I know what he has to currently do is retrieve the 2-yard dumpster where it's at now at the north end of that parking lot. He has to push it all the way past that white car because his truck only pulls in right next to the office. And then he has to get out, hike clear over there, wheel it over. Our problems is it's only a 2-yarder. We're getting so much garbage that we'd love to go up to like a 3-yarder.
Mhm.
And he won't push anything bigger than what we currently have. And I don't blame him, but
And if it went in the proposed location, did we explore an option to do landscaping on like that full corner then? To actually fill in the corner? Does that make sense? The proposed locations that,
Enhance.
right in there.
and then actually like, it's not really landscaped now, is it?
It's
Just
just,
grass.
it's lawn and there's a couple of little junipers growing there. One's just a little tiny thing right there on the south line.
Might actually like enhance,
Mhm. Might
enhance the
that
corner.
Yeah.
Thing where the white.
Kind of enhance
is
it.
In front of it, there's a garbage can currently sitting there with a little poop bag dispenser. There's street sign posts everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
there's,
sounds to me like you need a landscape designer that can come up with a plan.
yeah, no, I can come up with that.
Yeah. I really like the idea of keeping it in the proposed location in a way and then enhancing this right angle kind or whatever. I guess it's more obtuse, but the corner, yeah, just in general. If
Proposed location, you mean the,
Right in the corner.
this
She
far
likes-
corner, I think just consolidating it there with a cedar fencing and then building landscaping on this corner. Cause there's nothing here now.
mhm.
And so you kind of killed two birds with one stone, it feels
Will that
like,
be
but
messing with the view of pulling off on the?
Clear vision area?
Yeah,
good call.
curious.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a
good question.
planner question.
Yeah, like visibility.
So that would need to be maintained. And that's something that could be part of that plan is showing how much clear space would be maintained around that intersection. But if we could go back to the aerial, there does appear to be, around this vegetative strip, as long as it's not excessively high, I believe the limitation would be what, 36 inches? Something like that in order to maintain the clear vision.
Yeah, you'd want to maintain some there.
And so that would enable some sort of landscaping and then,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't come out very far from where the dumpster area is now. I mean, where we would like to have it. It would be very close to the partition of the dumpster area, nothing out in the lawn area. Because you're right, we don't want to obstruct the view of the people coming down that ramp.
Mhm.
I still think moving it towards that white car, away from the corner is better for a couple of reasons, just visibility and, I mean, odor, dumpsters stink and a lot of people walk, myself included, walk down that sidewalk.
Mhm.
And I think, it would be better if it were screened and away from the sidewalk.
Yeah, where it's at now, it's in an area where it doesn't get observed all the time. And when we have storms and if the dumpster's full, animals get into it and debris falling out and it gets behind that dumpster fence and it starts heading towards that little creek right behind the building there. I've had to go out there and crawl through the brush several times to retrieve stuff. And where we'd like to put it, it would be very visible and be maintained all the time
So Mike, is this the,
The chamber.
and away from the creek.
That's the chamber.
That's the chamber enclosure.
Okay.
That was probably before they
it's
repaired it.
before the upgrade?
Yeah,
I
they,
think that's,
they did a much better job.
The cedar enclosure.
Mhm.
So I think what you're hearing is that we would like you to come back with a landscape plan and a design, including a wood fence enclosure rather than a cyclone fence, a cedar fence, and some landscaping to provide some visual coverage,
Detailed information.
some more detailed information, yes. So
Okay.
any other questions of us?
I don't think so.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for putting up with it. First little get together, so.
Need any kind
Anyway,
of, just tabling,
Table it, I would say.
Motion to table?
I move we table it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Amy wants to speak. I don't know if we, is this for after, because ask her.
Ask her what she would like to say. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Amy?
Hi, I just had a question. I'm just listening in, a resident of Cannon Beach, and I just had a thought about when we're asking for cedar materials specifically, if there's any sort of consideration on sustainable materials when we ask for this in particular, which I think would be really important.
Well, I think David Veneta, when he was here, I don't know if you were on for that, Amy, but he was talking about a cedar mill up in Warrenton that sources down cedar and they're not logging, cedar out of British Columbia like a lot of the cedar does come from, clear cutting Vancouver Island, which is horrible. But I don't know how, hopefully somebody's doing some sustainable forestry with cedar, not clear cutting, but selective cutting and, what's the term, FSB, forest,
Yeah, FSC.
FSC, yeah, Forest Sustainability Council. But yeah, I hear you though.
And Amy, I would suggest if something like that, that's much more of what we would want in an actual ordinance if we're going to require people to do LEED certified or sustainable or something like that. That's something we'd want in an ordinance. We can't just, unfortunately, we just can't subjectively ask for that on certain things. And so we're doing a code audit right now. And so it'd be a great time to get an email or a letter into the city. You can write Adams at ci.cannon-beach.or.us or just go on our website and write a letter or an email and on those things. And if you know of other areas that do this and you like their language, that's always a great example to give to the code audit folks when they do this. Okay.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that, and I will do that.
Is this Amy from East Chinook?
It is, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, just want to point out that a couple of us, Dave and I, are going to be off the commission pretty soon. And if you're interested in applying for the design review board, I would love to see your application come in.
Well,
Maintaining,
the application went in today, so
Oh.
All right.
maintaining the Haystack Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have,
The legacy.
we have to dominate the commission.
Amy, thank you for your question and your comments.
thank you guys so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, we have another agenda item that we added, right, for the sign review or?
Yeah, it's not so much a full-blown sign review. It's more of an inquiry that I had as to whether or not the sign application should be subjected to a review. This is a sign in a commercial area. It's on Second Street, across from Fultano's Pizza. The sign would be, a typical wood with, regular sticker surface. But the question we have is that the applicant is intending to use sort of a platter-sized logo area that would consist of acrylic elements, which is sort of an alternative material. And so the code does require that we inquire with the DRB as to whether or not that would require a full review. It's not that the sign completely would be made out of alternative materials, just this sort of logo area, which like I said, it's about that big around. I did ask the applicant if they would be open to considering wood material. They said that's not an option because effectively the manufacturer's already started making the sign. So we're just asking as to whether or not we should tell the applicant that they need to submit for a full design review, or if we can just simply go ahead and process with with that logo area basically being approved as is.
And what's the majority of the sign made of?
Wood.
Thoughts, concerns?
I'm fine with the acrylic. It's like a collage.
Basically, it's some overlapping pieces to create this. So I think it sticks out about an inch total either side.
Any concerns? Moving
Not here.
forward? All right, do you need an action from us?
No, just some guidance was all we needed. Thank you.
I saw that email too that came through.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And just one reminder, when staff, and this is, we shouldn't do this. When we send out an email, do not hit reply all. That's a chain email and can be viewed as a public meeting of a group. So we will try to remind you in the email, please do not, hit reply all. But anyhow, for future reference, if that's all, I got one other thing. You guys got notice that DRB do the joint session on code audit for June 29th. I just wanted to touch base with you and remind you, check your calendars and let us know if that works out for you.
6 o'clock on the 29th.
Yeah. Next joint session. And the village character survey is out there. So if you want to promote that and get it to friends or family.
Okay, and before we adjourn, we need a motion to sign the appropriate orders.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye. All right.
have a general comment. Seems like more frequently lately, we're getting requests to review things that are already in progress of being done. Like you're saying, they're building their sign. What happens if we don't like it,
That you shouldn't consider that at all, honestly.
No.
I mean, so
Somebody might want to emphasize that when there's a design review required, it should happen prior to the start of construction.
oh, yeah.
That makes sense, especially like with the acrylic, like if it's already being made, but you want to do a wood,
I mean,
yeah, it's too late,
Jeff Schutz
The whole point is,
canopy pilasters that he's already bought
yeah.
is another good example of that.
Yeah. And so that's all on them. And if you say no, they're out.
Yeah. Well, kind of puts a lot of pressure on us if we say no, if it's something that's already been done.
When they pull out their tiny violins.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an observation.
Yeah, I think it's a buyer beware.
Yeah.
Anything else for the good of the order? All right, we are adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.